Welcome to Premier League Predictions Week 17. There are loads of games to get through. I'm going against ChatGPT and the Random Football Scoreline Generator as normal to see who's the best at predicting. And last week, I don't want to see another black cat. That's all I'm going to say. But let's get into predicting this week, shall we? First game is at St James's Park. It's Newcastle United versus Chelsea. Now Chelsea are on the top of the table, well, 4th place, and Newcastle are down in mid-table in 12th place. For some reason, Newcastle against you-know-who, for some reason was scared to go and attack. Why are Newcastle scared to attack against Sunderland? Newcastle were just too scared of conceding. But this is a different game. And I have just witnessed Newcastle have a fantastic second half against Fulham. And I have just witnessed Wissa rejecting to go to AFCON and stay with Newcastle and score his first goal and have a decent performance versus Fulham, winning 2-1. Brilliant second half. Newcastle shown the aggression, shown how fast Newcastle can attack in that Fulham game. That was much better by Newcastle. Maybe it is just when Newcastle are at home, Newcastle play amazing. So for that reason, and for other reasons such as Chelsea have not been amazing. I mean, yes, they did well against Cardiff. Yes, they did well against Everton to get both wins there. But just before that, they lost to the likes of Leeds United. They weren't playing the best. Cole Palmer is back. And I think Chelsea will score. It will be a close game. But because Newcastle are at home, because Newcastle are going to be fired up to make a big reaction like they did against Fulham after what is a disgraceful, slightly boring loss versus Sunderland, I'm going 2-1 to Newcastle. It's also a common scoreline. Come on the 2. And the Random Football Scoreline Generator says it's going to be a 1-1 draw. I could see that happening.
Newcastle just came off a tough Tyne-Wear derby loss, so they might be a bit down. On the other hand, Chelsea have really turned things around, coming off a strong cup run and some good league form. So I'm predicting a 2-1 win for Chelsea, and it should be a close one.
Wolves versus Brentford is the next game, and it's at the Molyneux Stadium. Wolverhampton Wanderers have 2 points in 16 games. That has to be the worst ever for any Premier League team. That has to be. So you would think the favourites are Brentford, and you would think correctly. Now, obviously, Wolves aren't going to have Agbadou because of AFCON. Brentford aren't going to have Atara because of AFCON. But the main thing is Wolves have to get points. I know that's easy to say, but surely they are not going to go another game without points. Like, come on. I'm not going to say they're going to get 3 points, but the realistic best outcome in this game is Wolves getting a 1-1 draw. Surely. Remember, Brentford are only in 15th. They're in a relegation battle as well. And Wolves are home, so you would think at home against a Brentford side which did draw to Leeds United, but really, they should have probably lost that game. Leeds were all over them. So it feels like this is the best chance Wolves have got to get a point. And look at it. Wolves scored 3 goals versus Brentford. I know 2 of the goals were own goals for Wolves, but come on. They did very well to hold off Arsenal and almost get a point. That is impressive. Surely they're not going to continue. Like, probability-wise, it makes sense for Wolves to at least get a point in this game. Wolves-Brentford 0-0. I could see that happening as well.
Wolves versus Brentford. Wolves are at the bottom with no wins, and Brentford have been resilient. Prediction, Wolves 0-1 Brentford. Expect a tight game with Brentford coming out on top.
Next game is at the Etihad Stadium. It's Manchester City versus West Ham United. Manchester City won 3-0 versus Crystal Palace. No team is stopping Man City right now. They are playing amazing. They also won in the Carabao Cup 2-0 versus Brentford. Against Crystal Palace didn't play terrible. They did have plenty of shots and plenty of chances. Like Pino, I think, hitting the crossbar very near the start. But Man City didn't have as many shots as Crystal Palace, but they were clinical. And other players are scoring other than Haaland. But Haaland is still scoring. Man City are unstoppable right now. And West Ham, I have to admit, they are also playing reasonably well. They are going to stay up. You West Ham fans, I can guarantee West Ham are not going to get relegated. You've only got 3 points in the last 5 games, but I have to admit, that performance against Aston Villa, you were close of getting 3 or even a point against Aston Villa. You actually played well, which was surprising. Jared Bowen scored again. West Ham, even though you've only got 3 points in 5 games, you're playing pretty well. But against Man City, even Crystal Palace couldn't score against them. I will give you a goal because you have been scoring recently and you have been impressing me. But I'm giving Man City 4. I'm going 4-1 Man City. Man City are just so unstoppable at the moment. And they're definitely in a title race. Man City losing 1-0 to West Ham. This is where the random generator is random. Well, obviously.
City are in top form and West Ham have struggled. Prediction, Manchester City 3-0 West Ham. This one should be pretty straightforward for City.
To the AMEX Stadium, it is Brighton and Hove Albion versus Sunderland. Sunderland, you won versus Newcastle. Blada, blada, blada. There was only 11 shots in that game. It was a bit boring, but I was still on the edge of my seat, hoping Newcastle would eventually attack. You know, Newcastle just kept on sitting back, playing it safe, while Sunderland were actually piling on the pressure. They were actually aggressive going forward. But going into this game, Sunderland have 8 unavailable players. 8! That gives me hope that Sunderland are going to lose this game, especially away from home. Away from home, Sunderland are absolutely diddly squat at scoring. So I don't even think they're going to be able to get a goal, especially without Siddiqui there, especially with players moving over to AFCON. 100% Brighton are going to win this. Brighton lost to Liverpool, but it was a close game versus Liverpool. They put up a good effort, and overall, they're due a win, Brighton. They haven't got a win for the last couple of games. At home here, it seems like a no-brainer to go towards Brighton. I'm going 2-0 to Brighton. Sunderland, you're not the same when you're away. And with 8 unavailable players, I can't see you winning this game. Brighton-Sunderland 0-0? Don't know about that.
Brighton are solid at home and Sunderland have been punching above their weight. Prediction, Brighton 1-1 Sunderland. It'll likely be a close and competitive match.
AFC Bournemouth versus Burnley. I told you that Bournemouth were going to get a draw against Man United. I got that correct. I said Brighton. I said Bournemouth will get a draw against Chelsea. And I got that correct as well. And I said that Bournemouth still have an amazing attack. Now Semenyo has actually scored. Now Bournemouth have actually scored 4, with Evanilson getting back on the score sheet, Kloopy getting back on the score sheet. Now their main attackers are getting back on the score sheet. I feel confident that against Burnley, which are losing constantly, and Burnley are in 19th, I feel confident that Bournemouth can finally get back on winning form, especially at home. Look at the data. Burnley are losing loads. Bournemouth scored 4 against Man United. They're doing well against top 10 teams, Bournemouth, so why can't they do well against Burnley, which it seems like any team's winning against? 2-1 to Bournemouth. To be fair to you, Burnley, you gave a good shot versus Fulham, and I would say, surprisingly, defensively, was your worst part. That's why I feel like Bournemouth can score 2 goals against you. Because defensively, you left a lot of big gaps open for Fulham to break into. I was surprised. There was a lack of urgency from your defence, and it was too easy for Fulham to score. But attackingly, you did look good against Fulham. So I'm going to give you a goal and make this a close game. Burnley winning 3-1 against Bournemouth. Yeah, random.
Bournemouth have a slight edge at home and Burnley have been weak this season. Prediction, Bournemouth 2-1 Burnley. Expect Bournemouth to pull through.
Over to a game which seems very unpredictable. Tottenham Hotspur at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium versus Liverpool. Now, the reason why this is unpredictable is because both teams are pretty inconsistent this season. Although I do feel like this time Liverpool are going to show a bit more consistency. They won against Inter Milan. They beat Brighton 2-0. I'm just thinking to myself, I know Salah's going to AFCON, but Salah, yes, did have a good game coming on off the pitch in the last game. getting an assist and almost making an impact straight away, and making plenty of opportunities, looking very energetic going forward. Yes, that is going to be a big miss, but I still feel like they don't need Salah to play well, Liverpool. Ekitike played fantastic. Play him up front, and Hove's service from Szoboszlai in the attack. Play Szoboszlai in attacking position, like in central attacking midfielder. You've got McAllister to feed Ekitike balls. And considering Tottenham can easily make mistakes playing out from the back, like Archie Gray made a mistake, you silly plonker, in the last game when Tottenham lost 3-0 against Nottingham Forest, I definitely feel like Liverpool can win. I feel like I've seen some impressive things from Liverpool against Brighton, and I think they're going to win this 3-1. The defence still isn't perfect, so I wouldn't be surprised for Tottenham to score. But Tottenham, you lost 3-0 to Nottingham Forest. That is unacceptable, so Liverpool are definitely going to win 3-1. Tottenham 1-1 with Liverpool. I don't think so.
Liverpool are slightly ahead and in good form. All Spurs have been inconsistent. Prediction, Tottenham 1-2 Liverpool. Liverpool should edge it in a close contest.
Over to Ellen Road. It is Leeds United versus Crystal Palace. Now, Leeds United, you have 3 unavailable players, Metcha, Dan James and Sean Longstaff, which I would say are 3 players which should be in the starting 11 for Leeds. But Leeds United drew against Brentford. The amount of opportunities Leeds United had was crazy. They should have probably won that against Brentford. So they had another good performance. And that was away from home. This time it's at home. Against Crystal Palace, who lost 3-0. I know Crystal Palace still had plenty of opportunities, played well against Man City. I know Crystal Palace are on the top half of the table while Leeds in the bottom half. But when Leeds are at home, they are playing amazing. They got a point against Liverpool, which Liverpool are in the top half of the table. They got 3 points versus Chelsea. They're in the top half of the table. They almost got a point against Man City, which are in the top half of the table. They should have won against Brentford because they played way better than Brentford. So thinking about it, at home as well, with Calvert-Lewin starting to find some clinical consistency at Leeds United, I'm going to say Leeds can scrape a draw against Crystal Palace, get a 1-1 draw. It's going to be hard Leeds United even at home because Crystal Palace, they are just really good. Defensively, they look good. Mark Gay leading that defence is brilliant. They've got a good goalkeeper in Dean Henderson. So it's going to be hard for Leeds. Yes, Leeds can break very well and they're very fast at attacking. But Crystal Palace are very good at breaking down attacks. So yes, you're going to get a lot of shots, Leeds United, but it's going to be hard against that Crystal Palace defence. And that's where I think you're going to lose out on. And that's why you're not going to be able to get a win. But you're still going to be able to get a draw, because I've been impressed with you, Leeds United. Leeds losing 4-2 to Crystal Palace. I don't think it'll be that high scoring.
Palace have been defensively solid and Leeds are struggling. Prediction, Leeds 0-1 Crystal Palace.
Everton versus Arsenal. This feels like a 1-0 all over. This is where it's not a 1-0 and it's like a 4-3 or something crazy like that. But surely it's going to be like a 1-0. Whether it's to Everton or to Arsenal. Arsenal is a bit concerning when you didn't even score against Thingamabob, Wolverhampton Wanderers. They're last. And you did it at the last minute. That would have been very embarrassing. Just like Newcastle losing to Sunderland. Sorry, I'm still not over that game. It was the most frustrating game to watch. But still, Arsenal, that was an embarrassing performance. Almost an embarrassing performance against Wolves. But still, you did create more chances than Wolves. And you are obviously a better team than Everton. But I won't be surprised for a 0-0 or a 1-0 win to Everton. I'm only going Arsenal because Everton have the likes of Dewsbury Hall injured. And also Everton have Njai and Gay out of the side, as well as Dewsbury Hall. Those 3 players are crucial midfielders and attackers, which make Everton play so well. And they're going to be missing those players. That's why I don't think they're going to score, especially against Arsenal, which normally can do well defensively. Ben White is missing, but because Everton have some crucial players which can help out in the attack missing as well, I don't think Arsenal are going to concede. They're going to win this 1-0. I'm confident. Arsenal winning 3-1 versus Everton. Yeah.
Arsenal are top of the table and strong, while Everton will find it tough. Prediction, Everton 1-3 Arsenal. Arsenal should come out on top comfortably.
Aston Villa versus Manchester United. Aston Villa have been winning. But against West Ham, I would say West Ham looked almost the better side. It was definitely a close game. And Man United, you conceded 4 goals. But one thing, Man United, is you're not going to have Brian and Webber in this next game because of AFCON. At least I don't think you are. Same with Mazawari and same with Amad Diallo. I think they're all going to AFCON. Those are crucial players missing for you, Man United. And after knowing this information, I am leaning towards Aston Villa. But because Aston Villa didn't look like it wasn't really convincing versus West Ham, it gives me hope that the rest of the Man United team, with Bruno Fernandes scoring that amazing free kick, with the free kicks he can deliver, with the brilliant creativity he can deliver, Bruno Fernandes, I think you might be able to get a draw against Aston Villa. I'm going 2-2. Another draw for you, Man United. And I think Man United fans will be very happy with a draw against a Unai Emery side, which seems to be winning every game in recent time. Aston Villa losing 2-0 to Man United. I can definitely tell it's random, so it's doing its job.
Villa are in great form, and United have been inconsistent. Prediction, Aston Villa 2-2 Manchester United. Expect a competitive draw.
Fulham up next at Craven Cottage. They are facing Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest, well done on your 3-0 win versus Tottenham. Hudson-Odoi, wowza, you are a brilliant attacker. Sangara, what a goal. But Fulham, you beat Burnley. Now I have to admit, at times defensively, you did leave some gaps open for Burnley defensively. And I believe because of AFCON, Calvin Bassey, Samuel Chukwueze and Alex Iwobi are all going to AFCON. And those 3 players are really crucial players, especially Calvin Bassey at the back and Chukwueze as well. And Iwobi can help out a lot in the attack. So, I don't think Fulham are going to score many. I mean, it's not like they, especially at the start of the season, it's not like Fulham was scoring many anyway. So I think you're only going to score a goal. You are at home and you are facing a fellow relegation battle contester. I think it's going to be a draw. They're both similar in terms of the position in the table. So 1-1 draw, I think, is probably the most logical outcome of this game. Nottingham Forest, you're playing very well under Sean Dyche. That 3-0 win was amazing. You dominated, you battered Tottenham. So well done there. But Fulham can still hold their own at home as well. They looked very good in the first half in the Carabao Cup versus Newcastle. In the second half, Newcastle's quality shone, but it's going to be a very close game. Fulham winning 3-2 to Nottingham Forest. I could see that happening, but that high scoring, I don't think so. Random generator.
Fulham have a slight edge at home, and Forest are unpredictable. Prediction, Fulham 1-1, Nottingham Forest, a balanced encounter.
The scores are on the doors. I won last week. I'm ahead of ChatGPT overall now after winning last week. 1 point ahead. And the Random Football Scoreline Generator loses again and is losing overall. Goal of the week, I'm giving it to Sangara. There was no deflection, so it was a clean shot, hitting the post and in with that power and that technique, that curve. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. Sangara, goal of the week. Get your predictions down in the comments below. You can like and subscribe, you can hype up the video. Mainly, just get a good discussion down below. But for now, that's it. Toodaloo.